Welcome to the Stop Money Anxiety Now live podcast episode number 12. Monetize your dreams and execute your genius. Welcome back to another live broadcast of the Stop Money Anxiety Now podcast. I'm your host, Wei Hong from the Six Figure Academy.
And I'm Jessica, also from the Six Figure Academy.
And this is the podcast where we give you real-world tips, strategies, and interviews with some of the most amazing entrepreneurs on how to eliminate the destructive money habits and anxiety in both your business and your life so that you can create a prosperous and an abundant lifestyle in your business free of financial stress and worry. How are you, Jessica?
Great. I'm kidding.
I know. I think one of these days we should do, we just start recording, just warm up on the air just to see, show people what we go through.
No.
I think it's been a long time since we've actually had the show all to ourselves without a guest. It's been a while.
I know it has been. Yeah. No, it's been awesome. I just spent the entire weekend in a training, as did you.
Yes, in a different context. You were there as a student, and I was there to help facilitate or help the facilitator.
Oh, and separate, yeah.
In separate trainings. Not the same training.
Nope.
But you were learning neurolinguistics from one of my teachers.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I had so much fun. It was so much fun. Like I didn't know what to expect, and obviously, there are some preconceptions of what NLP is, what NLP does.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. There were some people in your world that were concerned and worried about you going to take this training.
Yeah, because, let's get it out there. It's people generally have this negative connotation to NLP.
Negative perception, right?
Perception, yeah, and interpretation that it's manipulative. And, I usually when I go in to learn things, I usually just try to go in with a blank slate. I'm just thinking, I don't know, just being wide-eyed.
One of the best ways to do it.
Exactly.
I mean, we did that as kids.
Yes. Yeah. And, at the end of it, the more I learned about what NLP is and the more I learned about the techniques and how to really utilize these techniques to your fullest potential. It's incredible. It's it's being able to successfully communicate yourself with another person, but that only starts if you can successfully communicate within yourself first. So if you can be clear with yourself, your intentions, your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors, then how much that can convey to the other person and really affect your life around you.
Yeah, so you're already talking differently.
Yes.
Already. But what I did enjoy, I like about your when you were sharing about this offline, you were talking about, how much you wanted to learn about this, not so much to use in your communication with others, but more importantly, getting a deeper understanding of yourself and how you communicate with yourself.
More awareness. And so when you first go in and you register and everything, when you get to the first day, they have a sheet and they ask you three things, what are your goals? Why did you sign up for NLP? And I wrote down, I just want to be more aware of my communication skills. I want to be more aware of my communication. And it's just really interesting because it boils down to your intentions and being really conscious about where your behaviors are deriving from. And it's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I think anyone who is interested in wanting to improve themselves in career, mental, emotional, even health and fitness, NLP can, even just if you go into the first level of training, the integrative NLP training, it's amazing. It's really amazing. And everyone who's there is there to improve themselves or help other people. And so that energy that's just brought from day to day to day, by the end, it just felt like everyone was just so open and here to help each other. Because we're doing a lot of exercises with each other. And so, I don't know, it was just really fun. And it was so fun. And Dr. Matt and Dr. John and Pega, oh my God, hilarious. Yeah. Hilarious. Awesome stories, but just the humor. And so all the teachings just...
go right in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean... I think the biggest challenge with NLP is that people forget that the best way to make an impact, the best way to communicate better, it starts with you being able to communicate with yourself first.
Yeah.
I think where a lot of challenges come, where people get the misconception and the challenge with NLP is because there are a lot of people out there who learn it and see how effective it is, but before they finish using it on self and getting yourself to the most congruent state possible, they immediately try to use it on other people, and that's where it kind of falls apart. That's kind of my take on it. I mean, NLP is great. It's actually really just a philosophy more than a technique or modality.
Exactly.
That's kind of the best way to look at it. Everybody, a lot of people try to use it as a tool. It's not really a tool, because it's modeled after tools that we already use. Before NLP, people were just striving down how do I get to know myself better? How do I communicate better? And they just kind of haphazardly model themselves after others. The philosophy behind neurolinguistics, right, is basically how do we get the best of the best, put it together, and just have you skip the trial and error piece and learn how to truly communicate first, ideally with self.
Exactly.
Building rapport with yourself again.
Yeah. And that's funny because, you just mentioned about being congruent within yourself. And, so the textbook definition, and I studied communication in my undergrad. And the first class, Intro to Communication 101, we go through defining what communication is. And I distinctly remember this piece because I realized, so what they said was that successful communication isn't you saying what you want to say. It's only successful once the receiver
with the feedback that you get matches what your intentions are. And
communication it's not a one-way street. This is an interaction. There's an input and an output.
Right.
And so when they mentioned it in NLP, I just thought, oh my God, my classes actually taught me something.
Right. No, and this is cool because this is right in alignment with what we're here to talk about today is, so many of us, we go through life and we want to do one thing. We have an intention for one thing, but somehow we see ourselves and our body almost dissociated doing something completely different.
Yep.
It's like, and how many times have we sat there at the end of some end result and we go, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Why did I make that decision?
Yep.
And that's an indication of you, of someone not communicating with themselves in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And if, and that's the thing, if you can't communicate with yourself in the best way possible and clear with what it is that you want, and like every decision is like, oh, I totally wanted that. I totally created that. How do you expect to be able to effectively communicate in your relationships, in your business, with clients and customers and stuff like that?
Exactly.
I didn't think that we would get right into so much meaty stuff right from the get-go because it was just, but I guess it was such a cool thing. So just in case you're joining us for the very first time, welcome. And we're actually live on Spreaker.com. If you want to interact with us, just go to Spreaker.com on the mobile app or on the website. Just tune in and you'll see a chat box where you can actually chat box.
Wait, is it used for chatting?
Yeah.
Is it a box to chat?
Box to chat. Chat the box.
Wow.
Yeah. What's that?
Revolutionary.
Cat. Something. Do the cat box. What is that name of that song? The Casbah. It's the Casbah, not the chat box.
Oh, I think that's before my time.
Yeah, that song was before your time. Rock the Casbah. It's like rock the chat box or rock the cat box. Anyway, I'll find a song. Okay, anyway. So anyway, you put it, basically you go to the chat box and you ask your question and then it comes right to us live so you can be featured on the air. So that's awesome. I'm glad you had a really good time. It's really, the basis of one of the modalities, the philosophies that we go by in the Six Figure Academy is to help people with their mental body challenges, emotional body challenges, is through the utilization of neurolinguistics.
Yeah. And to really nail it down, so we talk about these concepts of our conscious and our unconscious mind. And essentially for me, the unconscious mind is the holder of habits. Personally, that's one of the definitions I have for my unconscious mind, right? And this past 2 months, I've actually been a lot more aware of what my habits are and where my habits are coming from. And for the past 2 months, I've really struggled to get down these healthy habits I've been trying to instill and replacing my negative habits with good habits ever since I started reading The Slight Edge.
Right.
Even though I was aware, it was like there is just something just wasn't allowing my system. It like something wasn't allowing myself to get these habits going and to keep them going. And after this weekend, I've just, I found everything that I've been trying to nail down for the past 2 months. It's just like magic. Like I've been waking up. I don't even set an alarm anymore. I've just been, which I used to do in the past. I'll wake up at 5:45 in the morning, which I wanted to do previously, and wanted to get up, work out, come back, drink water, like have this routine down, and I've been keeping up with it since we've started on last Thursday.
Right.
And might be momentum, it might be, I don't know what it is, but it's working.
It's making a decision, as you get to have better rapport with your unconscious mind that's responsible for a lot of the autonomous decision-making process, emotional decisions, and all that stuff.
But it's funny because these habits that I focused on during this weekend, like intentionally focused on through these techniques that we were learning, not only have those habits changed, but now I've been so much more conscious about other habits that I didn't even focus on before, where it's like just fulfilling every area of my life. And at the end of the day, I feel awesome. Like I went home last night, like I just totally relaxed, read a book, and went to sleep, and it's just like, yeah, I'm totally, anyone who is total, and I'm not getting paid to advertise or anything. This is so much that
we'll still put a link, though, for those of you who have been inspired and interested now that you kind of have a better understanding of what NLP is all about. We'll definitely put a link on the bottom where you can actually go check out Dr. Matt James and his team at the Empowerment Partnership to learn NLP. There's, I would say I've learned NLP from a variety of different teachers before. And time and time again, I think one of the best teachers of NLP on the planet is Dr. Matt James and his team.
Oh my goodness.
So we'll go ahead and put a link in the comments below for those of you who are interested on really kind of getting incorporating a better philosophy of communication with self.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
Not to use, with the intention of just, really kind of like elevating yourself to the next level, as opposed to thinking about how can I use this on my clients? How can I use this for people? That type of thing. No, this is about you.
Yeah. Because it actually doesn't work on someone else until you
truly understand how to use it for yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is where it becomes a problem, So, I mean, it's like, people say, well, if it's such a problem, why do people teach it? It's like, well, yeah, I mean, if you teach someone brain surgery, they have a potential doing it go both ways.
Yep.
And we see it all the time, I mean, we have good surgeons, we have bad surgeons, we have, so it is really comes down to the user, okay? And if you have good intentions and you're clean, you're congruent, you're in alignment, and you're using the tools on yourself, then it's, from an ethical standpoint, and I think Dr. Matt, every time he teaches, he does spend some time talking about the ethics behind it.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Right off the bat and throughout and even in the end.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And that's a very, very important piece. I think he was the first one I've ever encountered that really spent that much time and energy into the ethics behind what it is that you're learning. And most people learn and they walk away. They only scratch the surface on how powerful that tool is. Until you live, eat, drink, and breathe effective communication skills, then most people don't even realize it, right? So what does that have to do with our topic today? I mean, I'm so glad you talked about that, because today is about monetizing your dreams and executing your genius. The reason why we want that, because we're going to talk about that today, because that is the core of everything that we do here. That is the mission and the vision, is to help people, entrepreneurs, to monetize your dreams and execute your genius. And what we're going to talk about today is, we're breaking that down, to help you identify through communication with yourself what that all means. The reason why it sounds so cool, because most of us spend an entire lifetime not being able to realize that entire sequence. We all know what it means to monetize. We all know what it means to dream. We all know what it means to execute and take action on things. And we all know what it means to like have, something that you're good at, your genius, right? But to put it all together, that is probably the biggest challenge anybody will face in the entire life when they're trying to look for their purpose. Right? Monetize your dreams and execute your genius. What is that? When you hear that, Jessica, what do you think? What shows up for you when you hear monetizing your dreams and executing your genius? What does that mean to you?
Man, so monetize my dreams. I know. Well, so, I mean, to be really honest, the monetize piece, it's, I'm just thinking like, is that possible? Like monetizing my dream? Like, can I do that? And, that's the self-chatter, right? But I mean, to me, like monetizing my dreams and executing my genius it's just being able to really hone in on my skills to help manifest what I aspire to accomplish in my life, and doing it such in a way where, I'm living a successful life, and successful not even just financially, but really honing down in my intentions within my dreams and being able to just help other people while I help myself and keep my life sustained as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, and if you're listening to us live and you're joining us, we would love to also hear about, what that means to you as well. Monetizing your dreams and executing your genius. So what I want us to do today is just let's deconstruct that. Okay? Because most of the time, most people spend their lives doing one or two or three things. If we look at it as four different components of your life: your dreams, monetizing, making money, executing, taking action, and your skill set, your genius, what it is that you are uniquely gifted at. Okay, because everybody has a unique gift. It's just a matter of realizing what that is. We spend many of us spend our entire lives just to figure each piece out. And sometimes we don't even think that we can link it all together. I still remember walking next door to our neighbor and I'm saying, and I ask anybody and just say, hey, do you happen to be doing, the work that you're doing now, is this something that you've always dreamed about doing? And more often than not, the answer I'll get from most people is like, oh yeah, either sarcastic, say, oh yeah, totally, but they're being sarcastic, or they're saying no. But this is where I am. Yeah. And then there's people who didn't know, and they found their joys, they found their dreams embedded within the work that they do. I have had the fortune of being able to grow up around somebody like that. My father, I asked him one time, I said, Dad, how did you know that this is something that you wanted to do? He goes, I just kept doing what it is that I was doing, and then I fell in love with what I was doing. I think for my dad, he's one of the lucky ones that actually ended up going, I think it was more unconscious than conscious. He unconsciously made the decision that got to where he was doing. My dad was a research and development engineer over at Hewlett-Packard. Wow. And again, because of my dad, we have laser printers today. So he's really passionate. And to this day, he's retired already, but now he's doing private sector work and he's doing consulting work, doing still what he spent his life work doing in terms of research and everything like that. And he's still really passionate about it. I just connected with him a few weeks ago, and just listening to him talk about his life's work now more freely because he's not in HP anymore, so he can talk more about it. And plus the patent has now expired already. That's how long the patent's been around. Whoa. That he starts talking about it. I was like, wow, he is still he gets so excited like a little kid just talking about the applications and what people can use it for and all these different things. Yeah. And so that's why, you may already be in your dream vehicle to do what you want. So let's break that down. I mean, you said you were kind of stuck at like the whole, the monetization piece, figuring that out, and really what monetize means on a variety of levels is just making money, right? Yeah. So we're all making money on some level, somewhere, somehow. As my coach, Siobhan Moran, likes to put it, is as long as you have a bank account, you have a business. Yeah. As long as you have a bank account, you are making money on some level. Yeah. Whether or not there's money in there, you're still in the process of looking to monetize your activities, your skill set, your mindset, or whatever, right? So a lot of us in living in the world we're living in, we were working on learning how to monetize our activities. Right?
Oh, yeah. No, that's totally it. And, nowadays, even with my peers, it's almost like, it's not even like a compromise. It's like a give or take. Like, oh, I have to sacrifice this so that later I can do that.
It's the sacrifice piece, right?
Yeah.
And when you sacrifice it, on some level, based on what we've experienced, it's almost like to justify the making of that money.
Totally.
Right? We were raised in a society that says, nothing's easy, everything's hard.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And like the whole, with like entrepreneur sector saying, that grit, that perseverance,
blood, sweat, tears, the sacrifice I made makes it all worthwhile.
Yes.
And then you get these other people who are like, you get these other people who are like completely loving life. They're enjoying the journey. They're having fun every step of the way. Mm-hmm. And they're just as monetarily successful. Mm-hmm. But they don't have this sacrifice. They're like, oh my God, that was really fun.
Yeah.
It's like, what? So if you had a choice on whether to making the same amount of money, let's say you're making $100,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And if you knew you had a choice to either bust your butt and just really sacrifice and make it really a struggle to make it, or to make it have as much fun as possible to make it, which would you choose?
I think I don't want to suffer more.
Really?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I figured as much. I'm looking at you, and you're just doing things right in front of my eyes right now to suffer more. Right? You're like enticing me to throw stuff at you, poke you to make
I want to be happily successful.
Ooh, that's a good one. Happily successful.
Yes, I want to be able to make decisions and make them without having to base my decisions on how much I can or can't afford.
Right.
I want, and not even just for myself, but even for my friends.
Right.
And when I see, earlier we had this, like a networking.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's what we did this morning.
Event this morning, yeah. And you talked about what does define success, right? Like what does success mean to you? And I constantly.
You know what was interesting, right? Did you hear some of the answers?
What?
Or lack of answers?
Yeah.
Define success. Mm-hmm. And it's not because there's anything wrong with that. Because most of us do not know.
Exactly. No, but know in detail.
In detail,
we have
in specific
this image,
detail.
Right? We have these dreams. We have, we have this feeling of what it would feel like. We have this vision of what it would look like. But it's like, how do you have it written down? Like, do you have it specifically written down of what you want to manifest?
Right. And on the other hand, most of us can define failure with high level of detail.
Oh yeah, totally.
What it looks like to fail, to suffer, or to
Like this one person, he was describing like what it meant to
security. What was security meant? What security, wanting security meant.
Yes.
And in case for those of you who are listening that if you're using security as a motivation to make money, to be successful, embedded within the word security as our culture defines it is a negative motivator. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think he literally said that he can see, because it actually happened to him.
Yeah.
The demolition of his house.
Like he said bulldozer.
Bulldozed.
Like someone bulldozing my house.
Right. Now whether or not...
And even physically,
he was actually
really,
moving. Now, granted, it may have been for construction purposes. It's like, I was actually building an addition to the house, and that's why I got bulldozed. But, so we don't know for sure what the circumstance are. But the point is that when asked to define something that was like a negative motivator, most of the people... that I've talked to in the decade and a half that I've been doing this kind of work, is they can describe it with such visceral detail. Mm-hmm. But then if I ask them, what is it that you want?
Yeah.
What is the success? What are your dreams?
Yep.
I was like, to be happy. It's like, okay, what does that look like?
Well,
is it just you sitting there laughing in your chair all day long without doing anything? What does that look like?
And, the crazy thing about this is that, as much as people want to discredit intention, intention...
Who's discrediting intention?
Well, just, people who think it's a woo-woo type of whatever,
well,
right?
Sitting by itself, but intention without action, right?
Exactly. And for me, intention means goals. And, the funny thing, and I've told you this story, how we met, was the day before. A week before we met, I had this draft of things I wanted to accomplish for the next year. Like, I was like, some ideas here and there. And one day I just had this calling of, Jessica, sit down and just write it out. Mm-hmm. Write out exactly what you want. And the next day we met.
I came into your life.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny because
I showed you the way.
Well, no.
The universe showed you the way.
If people don't understand this joke, then
just look at the photo.
No, but and you know what? When I was actually writing down this intention list, was that I said, okay, we'll get this done in 2017, and I just said, no, Jessica, get it done in December 2016, and the next day you just showed up.
And then a vision of me popped into your head.
Yeah, like a bald
sugar dumplings.
You have those? Where are they?
I don't even know what sugar dumplings are.
I don't know if I like sugar and dumplings.
Just not together?
No, maybe together.
Maybe together. You like sugar and dumplings? Yeah. Like pork dumpling?
Dude, dumplings are one of my favorite foods.
Like Din Tai Fung?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I did. I'm not really that
Not the one here, the original one.
No, I haven't.
Have you been the one in Taiwan? No. Yeah,
we're not going to talk about that because I can't eat that right now. But anyways... Yeah, I do believe that if you're really serious about wanting to accomplish something in your life, like just write it down. Like clearly, just write it down, and
because the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we just had another success story from our for our Prosperity Breakthrough program, our group thing, 6-week program thing, and basically. One of the tenets of her success of finally taking her business to a 6-figure status was the fact that she started writing down her intentions, writing down what she wanted, and being very detailed about it,
like to the cent,
and just all the different things. And she says, "Oh my God, it's like magic." And it's like, "Oh, She says it's freaky, amazing."
Yep.
And so she's actually stopped, saying, "Oh, stop like questioning it."
Yep.
Because it keeps happening.
Yep.
It keeps working. And it's not because it's magic. It's not because it's some kind of woo-woo thing.
No.
It's literally because you've taken the first step of action towards that.
Yeah.
You're telling your unconscious mind, which is responsible for helping you get your goal. See, most people, they set the goal with their conscious mind, and they think the conscious mind is also there to get your goal, which in fact, it's quite the opposite. The conscious mind is responsible for directing where the unconscious mind should be operating.
Yep.
So the unconscious mind, the mind that you actually don't think about all the time, is actually
really. It's almost like it's unconscious.
It's like completely unconscious. Which doesn't mean that you should knock yourself out every once in a while so you can operate at your fullest capacity, because then you're not executing anything. You're just lying there, like knocked out. No, that part of your mind is responsible for the getting of your goal.
Yeah.
If we use our conscious mind to will, and this is where willpower fails.
Yeah.
How many times have you tried to will yourself to doing something and it works for a little bit, but then your mind gets tired, you get exhausted, and you just stop?
Yep. That actually was me last week. And one of the areas was my physical fitness. I had spent the past... a month and a half before forcing myself every single day to do a physical activity. And I'm impressed that I was able to force myself that long to do something every single day. And last week there was just on this Monday, because I had the system that I would keep up with, and I was just like, no more.
You had a cranial burnout.
Yeah, I did, because I did not work out at all last week, and I felt completely fine. And it's funny because the whole timing of NLP coming into my life, and now it's like I didn't even think about it. Yesterday when I woke up, 6 a.m., I did not even think about it. I was like, get up and just work out. And I wanted to.
Get up and go.
And I worked out so hard, I wanted to vomit. I worked myself that hard that my body was like, Jessica.
And despite you working that, it was an effortless motivator.
Yes, and I felt awesome. I felt awesome
wanting to throw up.
Well, after I got over that,
okay.
After my body was telling me, Jessica, that was really difficult. No, but I was like, I feel great. Even this morning, woke up at 5:45, went running at 6, got back. It's just, and by the time I left the door, which was 7:30, I felt like half the day had already gone by, and I was like, oh my God, I have an entire day ahead of me. This is amazing.
So if you're with us live or even afterwards, we're watching the comments anyway, and you want to participate in the conversation, contribute, or have any questions about what we're talking about so far. So far, we're just on the monetization piece, and your intentions. Just go ahead and post in the chat box of Spreaker.com. If you're on your phone, you could download the app, and that way you can follow us and get notified without having to say, "Oh, I have to put this on my calendar." On your phone, so you can listen to us at any time. At any hour, all day, all night.
I don't think I even like listening to myself anytime.
Well, speak for yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. Okay, yeah. So.
But you do these really amazing voices where I feel like would it just be you're just in your own mind having so much fun.
Yeah. So the fun I have is not in this world; it's in my mind.
Yeah, I know. I can tell. I can tell.
Right. So every time you walk into the office and I'm just talking to myself, having a good old time. No, that hasn't happened. That doesn't happen. Ever. Okay, so back to monetizing your dreams and executing your genius. So I think the reason why this is such an important thing, because it's, if you think about it, if you're able to monetize your dreams, take what you've dreamt about doing, always dreamt about doing in your life.
Yeah.
And if you ask yourself this, is that if you could monetize, if someone or some methodology can show you how to monetize your dreams, would you choose to do anything different? Right?
Well, and so along with this piece is, I don't know the exact placements, and you could probably help me with this, but I'm sure you've seen this diagram where it's the 3 circles, and there's, like your passion, your skills, and I forgot the last piece is like your profession, or like getting paid for what you love to do,
right? And
finding that sweet spot where all 3 line up. And I feel like that's what monetizing your dreams means to me, at least,
right,
is this reflection of this visual diagram.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these Venn type of diagrams out there where they show the crossover, and this is what a lot of coaches do. And one of the things is all these coaches that are helping others do that, their intentions are there. The problem is they're hitting a wall, right? And that wall is the belief that it is actually possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, what we need to do is no amount of strategy and tactics can overcome the power of the unconscious mind, the power of what we learned and what we grew up in our belief systems. So we need to, to really kind of embrace the fact that to monetize the dreams, first, we need to get clear on what that dream is. And that in itself is a challenge. Many of us are raised to not be allowed to even express what we want.
Yeah.
We live in a amazing country where you can make money doing anything.
Yeah.
If someone can make millions selling a rock.
Yep.
Just a rock from a garden. Nothing special about the rock. Just a rock. A random rock.
Or air.
Or
they sell fresh
or
air.
Ants. An ant farm that, ants that we try to get out of the house, and then all of a sudden they're selling it to bring it in the house.
Yep.
There's so many different ways. So to say that, I can't make money doing that, it's not because you can't.
Yeah.
It's just that you haven't simply seen the path of how is that possible. So monetizing your dreams is basically, it has to start with you not knowing how to, not saying, okay, well, how do I monetize that? No, start with getting clear about what your dream actually is. What would be the dream? What would be something that, that you would say, I would drop everything to do that if I knew I could make the exact same money that I'm making right now, or making, 6 figures. Making that money. Look,
and I feel like
I'm looking.
Or listen.
I'm listening.
Look at your phone. Especially like a lot of people in California, at least, it's the iPhone. That is I feel like people, these insane entrepreneurs who we're so familiar with, like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, these are ideas and innovations that probably have not, they're totally in the front edge of creating things where people are always saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. And they're doing it. They're totally doing it. It's just pushing the boundaries. And so, and even to be really honest, I have those thoughts sometimes, but then when I get out of those thoughts and I have these glimpses of the potential and the possibilities, it's amazing. Like, for someone to say to yourself or to say to you that you can't do something, I feel like that should be a bigger, an additive to your motivator, like your motivation, saying no, but I can, and I can take it places where it's never been before.
Right. And just before I forget, I wanted to give a quick shout out to, because I spoke this morning and you were there.
To who?
To the Manhattan Beach Professional Group. And it's facilitated a lot, actually. Well, the person that was my touch point introduced me, Irene Freitas introduced me to the group as a potential speaker, and Samantha Jenkins from First LA Mortgage, she's the one that actually helped coordinate all that.
Yeah.
So a quick little shout out to the Manhattan Beach Professional Group. Met some really cool people there. Carol, Joe, and then Francie, Elena. I just name off people. Marcy.
That was a really great group this morning.
Yeah, they were cool. I mean, Dick Williams is there too. Catherine Jimenez, John D'Isacco.
One more time.
I totally butchered it, but I know. But I've seen John for many years now. I met him like years ago, But yeah, I mean, it's so cool because we got to talk about money.
Yeah.
We got to talk about money and how to utilize what they're doing right now. I think most of them are doing what they love or found love in what they're doing. So both ways are good. Doing what you love or finding love in what you do. Because any job that you have is simply a vehicle for what your true dreams are. So people are stuck on saying this job has to fully represent my dream work. But what if we turn that on the head and say that any job, any business can simply just be a vehicle for you to propagate your dream? Right? Because what if your dream is to help others? It stems from that, help others in what way and however, right? Is there really a job, say, this is a help others job? This is the business called help others. This is the category. Right, but
which
that really
is
isn't
the majority of the jobs out there or careers.
But a lot of people don't see it that way, And so maybe your dreams isn't about finding the right business or the right job to fit that, but finding the slipstream within the work that you currently do to help as a vehicle to manifest and create the dream lifestyle of work.
Yeah.
And then monetizing that in the best way possible. Now, how do we elevate how much you can make, right? Sometimes people say, well, I'm not making that much money. Well, it doesn't mean you can't make more, right? I've talked to so many different people who worked in flipping burgers and stuff like that. And people are like, well, you can't make that much money. And then people who don't even see that as a limitation.
Yeah.
And then they work themselves up from fryer to burger flipper, all the way to managing, all the way to, making a plan to own their own franchise. Right? And they keep making more money. And it all started off with what? A part-time job flipping burgers.
So how do you think this relates to executing your genius?
This definitely does, because it requires a specific skill set and embracing, what you're good at.
Yeah.
If you're good at something, right? And executing your genius is one thing. People say, I know I'm good at something. But before we can go to execute what you're good at, we need to get very clear about being able to articulate what that thing is, right? And one of the ways to do it is to just kind of look at everything that you've done in your life, work, and even, while you're having fun, and write down all the things that you loved about the work. Even jobs that you hated, what kept you around? There was something that kept you around, something that you loved about it that kept you around. And it could be something as the water cooler conversations, right, that I've had. That's what really kept me around. And I've heard that before. And I said, great. So what is it about the water cooler conversations that you found yourself thriving in?
Yeah.
It says, well, I was always, I talked to somebody who said, I found, after they understood the concept of reframing and helping people see a different perspective on things, it says, I found I had a knack for helping people see things differently. I said, cool. That could very well be a sliver of your genius, of what you're good at. Right? And then from there, we take time to really invest time and energy into understanding more about, and again, this is where the NLP piece comes in, understanding who you are so you can articulate that not only to yourself, but to everybody around you. This is what I'm good at. One of the things that people struggle with in interviews, because I've done hundreds and thousands of interviews because of the businesses that I had before where I was interviewing every single day.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest challenges people have is really kind of stepping up and tooting your own horn. I tell people, toot your own horn. Nobody else is going to toot it for you. One, because you probably have your saliva all over it, so they're not going to pick up the horn and toot it. So you might as well toot your own horn for you, because nobody else will truly do it and understand you enough to do it in the best way possible.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I really, really love about the executing your genius part, is that genius, it automatically implies this positive notion for yourself, is that you do have a specific skill that you are a genius at,
right?
And it's already okay. Well, it's already in the mindset. Oh, I am a genius, and I am a genius in that.
Yeah.
And then how do I execute this? How do I actually bring it to the forefront to have it benefit me?
Right. And if you're hearing this and thinking, "Oh, I'm not really good at anything," I guarantee you.
Yeah.
There was one time when I was on 3rd Street Promenade years ago, and I was hanging out with a bunch of my friends from school. And at one point, they were like frantically looking, like, where's Wei? Where's Wei? We can't find him. We got to go, right? And then they found me. I was sitting on the ground next to a homeless person, deep in conversation with that person. And everyone was like, wait, what are you doing here?
How did you get in the conversation with the homeless person?
I don't know. I was bored. And then I just saw him and just like,
hey?
I was sitting somewhere and we made eye contact and I was like, hey, and, you know, it's kind of like those things like, hey. And it's like, how are you? I'm good. And I was like, wait, he doesn't sound crazy.
Yeah.
So I went and sat down there and I started having conversation. And the guy was brilliant, really smart, very insightful. And within the short period of time, I didn't realize at the time, but thinking back to it, the guy had a genius already there. He just didn't have a vehicle to execute. He just sat there and just...
What was his genius?
His genius was his ability to... his viewpoint on the planet and just kind of his... What was it about him? I mean, if I think back to the conversation, give me a moment. As Kayla scratches in the background. So what happened was I was deep in conversation with him, and he actually... this is why. Because I was in school for engineering and everything. Yeah. So we actually got into very technical conversation, and he actually understood all the jargon I was in. When I was in college, I used a lot of jargon because that was my way of being smart. Yeah. And he understood it all. He understood all of it. And it was because he had a natural propensity. He didn't go to school and study it. Yeah. He read. Oh. The dude read a lot. And so he had this natural curiosity for science and the technology side of things. And then he took that and he started analyzing the world around him. Yeah. And now, granted, he's homeless and it was a choice, and there's some things that basically kept him in that way. He was doing a lot of justification for why he chose the path he's choosing.
Yeah, I
bet if he really took a stance and said, I'm going to execute this genius to make a greater impact, he most likely could. So in that moment, I realized that homeless people aren't just like homeless people that you should stay away from. No. Everybody has a unique genius within them. And whether or not and it takes, for some, it requires an investment of time, energy, effort, guidance, coaching, whatever it is, to be able to articulate, to uncover that.
But ultimately, what I like about it is that it really does establish the confidence. Like, you can do this. And you have a genius and you can execute it.
Right. And you can execute it. So what happens is the first step is being articulated, being able to stand in there and say, this is what I'm good at. Okay. Then the next question inevitably comes up as an entrepreneur anyway, or even when you have a 9-to-5 job is, well, how do I use this? How then do I use this? And this is a lot of what we do here is we help people, one, get clear on what their unique genius is, what they're good at, what they're weak at, and what, Steve Jobs, my mentor, one of my mentors would always tell me, polish your genius, because that's what Steve Jobs talks about. It's like what you're good at, instead of focusing on what your weaknesses are and spend a lifetime trying to get good at something that you can simply hire someone else to do. Yeah. Polish and focus on what if you're an adult by now, you're not like 5 or 6, and you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, you have a unique genius there, and your job then at that point, your contribution to the planet is to polish the strength and allow that strength to shine as much as possible and use it for good. Yeah. And that requires you to be able to execute it, in whatever vehicle you have chosen to monetize your dreams.
So can I ask what your genius is?
My genius? For years I was during the .com boom, I was there being kind of a liaison between between the people the people or who eat les poissons. And that's the only
really
thing.
No one in French is listening to this right
now. I know. I'm not making fun of you. I just love the accent. Yeah. No. Anyway, so a liaison between geek speak and normal speak, and I took it for granted for years.
Communication,
bridging the gap between the gaps that where most people find the challenge.
Oh, and I feel like this is a huge thing. All of my friends who are in this tech world, developers, to just the defining thing that makes from developing coding, programming to like an executive is the communication skills.
And there are executives that get there and still struggle with that.
Yeah.
Because they're just so brilliant. Now imagine if they could articulate that brilliance out there. How much more impact they can make. And that's why it's so important. So, when we do work, we do one-on-one work. We do virtual work, but we're just now reopening us going into corporations and doing trainings around communication and helping people bridge that gap in a better way, because I think, like you were just saying, I think there is a systemic problem there, despite all the tools we have out there, of just there's a breakdown of communication.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of people who are absolutely brilliant. Not to say no, but some people aren't brilliant, but we're talking about specifically around the tech people, right? Yeah. And then when your world is just surrounded around jargon, a lot of people, when I was at UCLA, studying engineering and everything, hid behind the jargon.
Yeah.
They hid behind the technology because they felt comfortable, and because they grew up many of them grew up awkwardly.
Yeah.
Because they just couldn't find a way to fit in.
Yeah.
They found the way to do it was to hide behind the jargon, hide behind the tech.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, he's just a tech person. And that gave them comfort. However, when it comes to socialization, being able to communicate the brilliance, the hidden brilliance, that was not the best approach.
Yeah. And, this isn't even just professionally. So take that. And, I read this article long ago. It was like 2-3 years ago, but it was this piece that was done by the psychologist who found this phenomenon in the tech world in Silicon Valley.
Phenomenon.
Every time.
Phenomenon.
But these tech guys who, are kind of like awkward, having grown up, like the social skills aren't really there, but, now in their 20s, 30s, whatever, super successful, have all this money and have this inflated ego with hiding behind the security of the jar. So they're kind of finding this false sense of confidence through this, but how it would affect their relationships, their romantic relationships, of how like they would have these really high highs of like this huge ego blown up, as in like, I have all this money, I can do this and this, like I can do whatever I want, but then these like really low lows of this emotional breakdown because there's just no connection. Right. And it's like, and again, with the 6 Figure Academy, what I really love about, our mantra, so to say, here is that it's not just about the money, it's a lifestyle. Yeah. Your life is not sectioned off. Right. Whatever belief that you have, if it's in your profession, it's going to manifest in other areas of your life too. And like your health, your mental, it's all connected. And so for someone, to think that, I can be successful in this and this and this, and it's like, yeah, you can, and it can start helping you be successful in other areas too. Right. And that's a lifestyle.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that you're a lot of these people grow up under the ether of the work. My work will speak for itself. My work will speak for itself, and that's a personification of an inanimate or even like a conceptual thing being able to speak for you. Yeah. And really, if you look at the people who supposedly let the work speak for them, they had to back it up, being able to articulate what their work was doing. Yeah. As awkward as it is, just the willingness to step up and use the faculties of your communication. Yeah. Like your mouth and your hands and your PowerPoint slides, and to be able to do it effectively. Yeah. That's what separates the people who actually, quote unquote, let the work speak for themselves. Yeah. They actually had to facilitate the work to be able to speak through them.
And, it's what I realized was, if you can establish successful communication from interaction to interaction with other people interpersonally, right? You can control your external environment pretty damn well. But another layer of that is being able to establish successful communication within yourself is another layer, to where I really believe that you can manifest, you can monetize your dreams and really execute your genius.
Yeah, because a lot of people say, "Oh, this is my dream," and then inside their inner child is shaking their head, going, "No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not." And so it's right. It all goes back to being able to communicate. And here's the thing. We're in a society, I grew up with that. It's like we never go ask for help because that shows weakness or something to that effect. So I, because of that, I know how to do all kinds of things around the house: lay hardwood floors, fix plumbing, electricity, like all kinds of stuff.
That's it.
Yeah, drywall, take it down, put it up.
You can't just build a house yourself, Wei?
No, I probably could. give me the right tools and everything. I'll probably put something together. I can't guarantee the stability of the house, but I can probably put something together that's livable.
Okay.
But
if I ever want a house that collapses, I'll make sure to call you.
Yeah. It's like, wait, my house collapsed. Okay, I'll be right over. No. So now I lost my train of thought. Good job. It's like, well, it's doing stuff. But here's the thing: is that the most important point where you should be actually seeking help is when you're trying to do something for yourself.
Yeah.
When you're investing in yourself, because this is something that my coach constantly reminds me of. It's like, sometimes I get frustrated. Says, why am I struggling with practicing what I preach sometimes, Mm-hmm. And she goes, well, you know better than that, Wei. You know better. You can't coach yourself.
Yeah.
It gets to a certain point. Did you know that by the age of 21, our values are pretty much set, mm-hmm. barring effective deep coaching or therapeutic work or trauma.
Yeah.
Your values are pretty much set. Your belief systems are pretty much set.
Well, because also I feel like in your 20s, like your ego is just blaring on any outlet possible. You're running on your ego in your 20s.
Right. And not to say that ego is bad. Ego is your identification of your energetic body. Mm-hmm. Without the ego, you'd be just nothing, right? So it's
unique expression.
It's like your unique expression, right? Yeah. So it's like an inflation of that ego. Yep. It's like a hyperactive ego, right? Yes. And so when you start to think about, I think the biggest mistake is for people to think is okay, great. What I'm taking from this is that I got to work on myself. I'll just get a whole bunch of self-help books and then I'll help myself. Right? If it was that easy, if all you had to do is pick up a book and Google a few things, then everyone would be this hyper evolved, and we actually would evolve ourselves out of the need for money and just be like a Star Trek generation that would seeking knowledge would be the main mode of exchange, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Nope.
Like I talked about this morning. Remember when I talked about I can give everybody the 10 steps to achieve success, life, mm-hmm. happiness, and most people won't go through all 10 steps.
And what was the percentage?
It was like less than 1%.
Yeah.
Less than 1% what people will actually fully execute. And they did this study around different, blueprints, different checklists, and they would give it to people that would achieve a life-changing result.
Yeah.
And most people didn't finish. They had one excuse, another one, often says, oh, this is not going to work for me. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is hokey. Mm-hmm. It says, I can't imagine how this will work. Mm-hmm. And that's funny. Mm-hmm. When people say that, I can't see how that will work. Well, if you could, then you wouldn't need it to begin with.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because even that statement right there, there's just so, I don't know, when I hear it, I'm like, there's so many things that in your unconscious mind that is just
running while your stories are running, your patterns are running, your behavioral, conditions are running to keep you from stepping up. And here's the thing, we're not making it wrong because up to the point where you are right now, it has been keeping you safe.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's still around, because it has kept you safe. Mm-hmm. All we're saying is that take a venture. Mm-hmm. to see things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And maybe seek support on some level.
Yeah. And essentially being able to make decisions, not running away from something, but trying to attain something.
Right. And people always say, oh, you're just trying to sell your stuff. We don't care if it's us.
No.
And if, we're not a fit for everybody, because some people will absolutely hate the way I talk and they hate the way I am. And some people will think, you're high all the time and they can't stand that and they say, what kind of place is that?
Yeah.
What? That's fine. What we're saying is there's so many resources out there to help. Just invest in something, find something, And when I mean invest, I don't mean just money. Invest in time, energy, and money. Put some skin in the game to kind of commit to a process of being able to eventually monetize your dreams and execute your genius.
Yeah.
Get critically clear what your dreams are.
Yeah.
Get stupidly clear about your genius. To a point where it's like, because here's the thing is that, it's kind of like how the mind can't be positive and negative at the same time. It's very tough to be angry and happy at the same time. Really, think about it. I mean, it's a very digital state of being.
Angrily happy.
Yeah, I'm angrily angry. I'm happily angry. Now, there are people who think that they're happier when they're angry.
Yeah.
what it does, it's not about happiness. That type of anger is about creating a level of comfort and safety for themselves.
Yeah.
I can shut things down that potentially could hurt me by being angry.
Yeah.
You know, my dad's number one emotion. You know, I use my dad a lot, so hopefully one day he doesn't say, "Hey, why do you keep talking about me?" One of my dad's default emotion for every emotion is anger. At least when we were growing up. I don't know if it's that way now. He's very stoic now. He's like this old, you know, Chinese philosopher playing music in the Chinatown. No.
Yeah, I know. It's just going to refer back to one of our first episodes.
Yeah. But he, you know, when he was happy, well, I think he was happy. He would be happy. He just wouldn't express it.
Yeah. Well, no, and the thing is that...
but when he was afraid, when he was hurt, when he was sad, the default state was anger.
Yeah. I think it just takes, you know, the first step is just be honest with yourself.
Right.
Be aware.
Right.
You know, and to be honest, for myself, even the whole... you know, monetizing my dreams, just a part, like the part of me was, I wouldn't write it down. And a part of me realized it's because through this weekend is because I was afraid of not being able to achieve those dreams.
Right.
And at that point I was like, yep, write it down.
And another fear is like, what if this is not really what I want? But we got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to get it out first and to see. I mean, here's the thing is that's why I have everybody, all of our students and all of our clients have journals. Get it out of your head. See it in front and then regurgitate it back down. Put it back in and double check to see if that's really it.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have that, the mind is the unconscious mind is so quantum that it immediately regurgitates and re-ingests the stuff that you spit. So it's just kind of like this pool of just thoughts that come in and out, you know.
This is a weird image of,
it's like
that pool right now. I know.
But anyway, so this, you know, this is just kind of touching on, you know, a lot of what we do day in and day out here, right?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to actually dedicate an episode just to talk about that because it's such an important thing.
Yeah.
I mean, can you believe it? It's already 4 minutes till the end of the show.
Yeah.
And you know, because over the next few weeks we don't have a chance to have just a show to ourselves. We have some really cool guests coming.
Yeah,
who's coming in next week?
Brandy Vale.
Ooh, we have Brandy Vale.
Yeah,
she's super cool. I
Millionaire
love
Brain
her.
Yoga.
She is amazing. And you know, for those of you who would like to get more information, just check out. I mean, and here's the thing: it's like we have so much going on at the Six Figure Academy. So many different resources. A lot of it's free. You know, so you know our Facebook page, the Six Figure Academy, is free, and we also have a new private group called the Money Story Reengineering Lab. That's also free. That is, I mean, we'll put a link on the bottom for you to jump into that if you want to have a safe space that you can share and have support and help around your money story to get your money story changed, and so your money circumstance will change. We have our weekly, you know, vlog or blog. We have this show. There's so many different things. Just make sure that you stay connected. Yeah. And then there's always my my guide from Money Anxiety to Six Figure Mastery. That one's free too. You just go to go.thesixfigureacademy.com. We'll put all these links on the bottom. Yep. Just so you have no excuse to not get support on some level of all of these free resources that I'm constantly creating and putting out there for everybody to use based on our experiences, based on what we do that has been working over and over for our students and our clients. I just got another ping today from one of our students says, oh my God, Wei, so many layers keep coming off and so many levels. It's going deeper and deeper into, you know, getting my money circumstances handled. And it's like been life changing. And so she just reached out and wanted to say thank you. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. You know, and that's a lot of why we do what we do is because, at the end of the day, sure, we have to charge because we are a business. Yeah. And so to help us do more of what we do, we obviously have to charge. Yeah. But the biggest driving force is not the money. Yeah. The money is a facilitator to help us do more of what we want to do. And this show is part of that. You know, how do we pay for electricity to do this? How do the equipment that, you know, sometimes doesn't work for us and we have to replace. You know, that's what this is all about, to use that to facilitate that, to monetize our dreams, execute our genius, right? and then continue to allow, to create a platform for everybody to be able to tap in. Are there any last few things that you want to add about this topic today, and what before we sign off for the week?
Yeah, I mean, other than all the things that we've been talking about for the last 60 minutes, I would just say, yeah, just get real with yourself. Like, what do you want? And just write it down. And I mean, like, as cheesy as it sounds, it's, dude, like, you could do anything you want in this world. And
here's the thing, you don't have to do it alone.
No.
Tell people, how accessible am I?
Super.
It's really easy. And most of us are. You're pretty accessible. If people are pinging you and asking you questions on Facebook and stuff like that, you're right there within the group, right? Galia, super responsive. Jen, our social media girl, she's super responsive as well. Danielle, both of our Danielles.
I know.
So there's so many people on our team that's here to provide.
Here.
We're here.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere.
Nope.
And so just take everything that we do here and just take it and just use it and just reach out and get support. So really, hopefully you got enough to kind of realize that, you can monetize your dream. Yeah, you can identify what it is that you're truly good at. And you do have a unique genius within you. And you can execute that to help you monetize your dreams. Because that's all what we do, day in, day out. Money anxiety, get rid of that. Change your money story so that you can monetize your dreams and execute your genius. All right. I think that's time. Because that's the music cue that I just click play myself. So
your dad isn't playing it?
No, my dad's not playing it. Not this time. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
Next week.
Join us next week for Brandy Vale, our guest, at Tuesday at noon Pacific Standard. Be there or be square or circle or oblong, however you want to be.
Oh my God.
Just be empowered.
Bye, guys.
Good night. Bye. Good night. What?